Hi everybody, welcome back to my kitchen table. I just finished up my work day and I'm getting a quick pick-me-up here before I head out to start doing some farm work. But we are now in June, and so it's time to really get into planning for the summer gardening, the June and July tasks that need to be done. And so I thought while I'm drinking my coffee, I would just do some of that planning and share some of that with you. So the first thing that requires is obviously pulling up the spring beds. Here in North Carolina, we actually had a really nice long spring this year. That's not very common. It's usually, 80 degrees by May. But we've been averaging, 70s, maybe mid 70s. But now that we're in June, it is gonna start to get hot. And so those spring crops are not gonna keep going any longer. Anything that's out there is probably just going to go to bolt if it's not produced already, like, any broccoli or anything. But that doesn't mean that the plants are gone to waste. So if your broccoli didn't produce, you can still eat the greens from it. There's actually a lot of plants that you can eat the tops and the leaves that some people don't. So things like carrots, you can eat the greens, radish, broccoli, those kinds of things, you can eat the greens, and they have a tanginess to them, kind of like a collard. So just, cook them down and then cook them with some garlic and seasonings, and just they're really, really healthy for you. But anyway, so I have to pull up all of the rest of the spring crops, anything that's still in the beds. I have one garden bed that I think I'd shared before that is a new bed, so I'm still building up that soil. So I have peas in that this season. And so instead of pulling the peas up, I'm actually going to cut them off at the roots, and I'm going to let the roots sit in the soil, and as it decomposes, it's going to feed the nitrogen back into the soil. But I'm also going to take the plants and I'm going to mulch it down and use it as a green mulch in the soil, and that'll also help continue to feed it. After I get all of that pulled up and any, soil amendments and stuff I need to make, it's time to put in my heat-loving plants. So you know that my tomatoes are already out, my squash and zucchini are already out, but some of the other plants that I had started by seed back in February, I've been waiting for the spring beds to be open for them. So I have to plant my, my cucumbers and pole beans need to go out, and the trellis systems that I'm going to use for those. My sweet potatoes I'm going to put out. I did something a little different with those this last year. So I usually make my own sweet potato slips. I actually have some over here too. I have a couple potatoes that I've just let grow, so I'll use those too. But this last year I actually cut the runners off of the ends of my sweet potatoes, and I kept them in water all winter long. And I kept them in the sun, just on a table, but I kept them in the sun. I changed out the water. I have a hydroponic system, so I added some liquid nutrients to it occasionally. And I've kept those runners alive all winter, and they've continued to grow and have really good roots. So I'm actually gonna plant those this year as well, and I'm gonna see how that goes, because that just, I don't know, they were really pretty to even just have in the house over the winter. And if I can just cut runners and stick them in water and then plant them again, that kind of gives you a head start for the next season. So I'll let you know how that goes. But just as a backup, in case it doesn't work, I am going to do my regular potato slips too, sweet potato slips. My bell peppers are ready to go out. I started those seed back in February. Bell peppers do take a little while to grow. They really love heat, so once it starts to get warm, they'll really take off. So if anyone plants bell peppers and wonders, like, are they stunted? Why are they not growing? It's probably because it's not hot enough yet. But anyway, the bell peppers will go out. The jalapeno peppers, I actually overwintered. This is the second year I've done that. What's interesting about peppers is that in their native climates where it's warm, they're actually an evergreen plant, and they'll just continue to grow. And so this last year I brought one of my jalapeno plants in, and we had like a little Charlie Brown Christmas tree with it. It was really cute. But it's worked so well to overwinter those that I'm actually going to do that with my banana peppers this year too. So I'm going to plant some of those in pots this year instead of in the ground. And so I'll overwinter those in the garage under my grow lights. But I do need to take all of my pots and kind of add some worm castings and stuff to that too. The other thing with summer is it's not really a great time to grow lettuce, but with growing all the other salad things, it's natural to want to grow lettuce too, and then you could just have your own, you know, grow your own salad completely. So I do grow a lot of my lettuces in my indoor hydroponic system, but I do have a green stock tower that I also grow lettuce in, and there are heat tolerant varieties that you can use, but it's important to make sure what you're looking for says heat tolerant or slow to bolt, and that you provide it some protection. So afternoon shade, or use a shade cloth over wherever it is that you're growing it. But there's several varieties that I've tried that have grown actually really well here in North Carolina. So Paris Island and Little Gem are two versions of like a romaine lettuce that are really good. They're smaller, but they grow really well. Butterhead is another one. New Zealand spinach and Swiss chard all grow really well in the heat of summer. So that's something to keep in mind. So as I'm kind of preparing for, you know, if I already know what I'm going to plant and where I'm going to put things and how I'm going to trellis them, I still have to fit into my week the regular care too. So I need to continue to feed my soil. I actually, because I live in a neighborhood, I can't have like just an open compost system like a lot of people do. I have one of those small tumbling composters, but that fills up pretty quickly. And I do have, you know, chickens that I give scraps to and stuff like that. But what I actually do is in my, not in my garden tiers or my tower, or my, sorry, garden beds. What am I saying? Not in my raised beds, but in the ground, I actually will compost right in the ground. And so I'll just dig a little hole and do it in a different spot, but I'll just put the compost in there and then bury it back. And that way it's already in a fenced in area, so there's no critters trying to, you know, dig it up. There's no smell because it's buried. And then all the worms and everything come to it and compost it and then feed the soil all around it. So I'll put that in different places like around the garden. So that's a pretty easy way to be able to compost and to continue to feed your soil right in the garden bed. So I'll keep doing that. Obviously keep weeding, pruning as needed, watering as needed. That you may have to water more often in the heat of the summer. So if you're only watering once a week, you may need to put it in your schedule to water twice a week. And you know, I'll continue to train up the plants like the squash and the tomatoes and pole beans and all of that stuff that I'll have that grows up poles or up trellises. I'll continue to train those and prune them as needed. And then every day when I go out and I look to see if there's anything I need to harvest or collect, I also do a quick just spot check for any bugs, because I want to catch those before they cause significant damage. So things like aphids multiply like crazy once they're there. The little Japanese beetles, slugs, there's so many different kinds of bugs that if you don't catch them early can really wreak havoc. And so I do just a quick check for any bugs or any signs that there might be any issues, yellowing on my plants or holes in the leaves or anything like that. I just do a quick check through everything. Just takes a couple minutes to walk through the garden, and if I see an issue, then I know something I need to address. I'll also, through the next few months, I'll be using grass clippings in the garden. I use those as a mulch I use those in the raised beds. The gardens that are in the ground, I do a back to Eden style, and so those actually have wood chips on top of them. But in the raised beds, I use grass clippings as a mulch, as a natural mulch, and that continues to feed the soil. It protects the soil, it protects the bugs that you want in the soil. It also helps keep the moisture level better. So I'll continue to do that. And then mid-June, end of June, I will actually start seed for fall planting. And it seems like it's so early to already be planning that in your head, but as a farmer, you always have to be thinking the next step ahead, you know, preparing for that, and then what do I need to order? What do I need to do? Just kind of having the next step in mind. And so once I get all of my summer stuff planted and everything going, then I'll actually start preparing my fall garden already. So I will, from seed, I'll start broccoli, cauliflower, Napa cabbage, and Brussels sprouts. And then there's other things that I'll grow that I'll direct sow right around August or so. And so I think that is just about everything. I have some other projects that I'm working on that are just my own. I think I shared a picture on my Facebook page, but I have a herb garden that I actually expanded this year. And so right now I'm working on adding some flower, like tea flowers in there, like chamomile, which I've grown indoors. I'm actually putting that outdoors. I have echinacea tea coming. I have just different herbs in that garden for cooking and teas. So that's my own little project I'm working on. But other than that, I think this is really the bulk of it. As we go through the season and I collect things and harvest things, I'll share with you how to preserve it. Some things I freeze, some things I dry, some things I can. Some things I freeze until I have enough of it to can. So I'll share more about that as we go, but I think this is the main planning, the things that I'm putting in the ground, the things I need to do over the next couple of months. And then as we go forward, I will have another coffee with y'all, and I'll let you know where we stand. So I hope you have a great summer. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching.